G'day YouTubers, I hope you like my video on installing a 12 volt diesel heater into the Jayco Silverline. That's what you see behind us. Before I go into the video, I'd really just like to give a shout out to a couple of guys and their YouTube channels. John McKay 47, great detail in his content, Dash Off-Road and One Up the Sleeve Customs. These guys help me a lot from their YouTube videos, so I'm hoping that my video might help somebody install a similar sort of a heater into a Jayco van or something of the like. This is my Jayco Silverline. It's a 2015 model, and for those Jayco enthusiasts, it's a 21.65 layout, no slider, and I'm going to put in diesel heater into my Silverline. Cracked screen. Going to install the 12 volt diesel heater underneath the cafe lounge, the one closest to the bed. So I've already started putting some fittings in, and you'll already see I have the air outlet located just underneath that. That was the most convenient for it, and I've also placed, based on some advice from other YouTube videos, an air intake. So when we remove the cushion, and access the compartment under the cafe, you'll already see that I've put the mounting plate for the heater to sit on. Now it's important, you may see just where the T is on the plate, there is a cross member of the Jayco Silverline which sits underneath that. So I've managed to put that in as close as I can to that cross member without it making contact with it, and it still gives me about 25 to 30 mils of space between the inlet of the heater and the back wall cavity. And then if we look across to where I've got the air intake, the air intake is located in there behind the drawer, and that will allow some air to breathe into this compartment and should go into the back of the heater. So here we are under the left side of the Jayco Silverline, and we're coming up to where you'll actually see the mounting plate and the heater externally protrude out of the caravan. So it sits there pretty tight, and you may just be able to make out the cross member. Okay, fuel pump's mounted approximately 30 degrees, and I've had to feed it around behind the water tanks and the shielding. So the fuel line comes around, and then goes up and connects to the main unit. Ready now to put the exhausts on. I'm about to make a filter shroud that sits over the 12 volt heater intake filter, and I'm making it out of stormwater pipe. The purpose of this filter is to stop particles, bugs and the like from being ingested into the pump, and allowing it also to be somewhat weather resistant when it's hanging underneath the caravan. What I'm doing is I'm using 90mm storm water pipe with a gauze filter at one end and a blank cap that I've drilled out or bored out a 27mm hole. That will allow the filter to be slotted in, and I'll bond it with some PVC glue. Then attach the pipe, inlet pipe to it, and then take that to the pump. Okay, I've now painted up the housing for the air intake, and I've also now glued with the PVC glue the intake into the blanking cap. Okay, we're under the van now. We've now connected the intake and the exhaust. And so over here I've now put the housing that has the new intake in it. And that is a separate compartment and separate direction for the heater. And then I've run the exhaust. I've actually bought an extension just to push that exhaust as far away from the intake as possible. And I've also put a spring hanger in there just to make sure that it's stable and can't get hooked up on any trees or branches or things that may be on the ground. And that is underneath done. Okay, due to the location of where I'm going to put my tank in the Jayco Silverline, I have decided to actually install the standpipe that comes with it. So instead of actually taking the fittings outside of the side or underneath, I've cut the standpipe to length, attached it, put some sealant underneath it, and then have got it ready to be installed into the caravan. I've actually had to curve the plate just so that it fits the profile of the tank. And inside the LPG cabinet, you'll see where the fuel line comes in. And all I've done is I've simply kept it inside the 10mm PVC clear plastic, and then ran it around the perimeter of the cradle, back through a 10mm hole, in through the side, into the front boot. The fuel line then comes from the other side of the LPG cowling, up through the top, and what I've done is I've top mounted the fuel line through the standpipe so that it runs from the top down and feeds the system, and it's running perfectly. I've got my measurements now for the cradle that holds my fuel tank. I've now cut those components out and I'm ready to assemble them, so I can now put it in, and I've made up a housing that it slides into in the back of the van, and I'll fasten it with a set of screws at the front, and that should hold it in secure. And now assembled, and that's how the mounting bracket engages with the frame. Okay, I've now painted the cradle for the fuel tank and now installed it, and it's sitting exactly in the position I want it to be. And just a tip, if you've got a bit of fuel line, it allows you plenty of space to be able to slide the tank out and back in if necessary for maintenance or for whatever reason. So that is a real positive tip. So here's our finished product. We've installed the heater under the cafe seat. We've been able to integrate the power into an existing power source, such as the socket that was already there, and it's running perfectly. And I've now fed up the controller. You'll notice it's the new type of controller, and I'm about to return the lounge cushions and stuff, and then it should be all ready to go. Here we are in the van, finished, and the heater's running. You can see I've got my outlet vent down the bottom there, and as we move across, I've mounted the little control unit just above here. Just starting it up. The new controller that comes with the 12 volt diesel heater has two components to it, and you'll notice that both of them are very different to the normal digital displays, but more so when you look at the actual remote. It's got a LCD display, and when you wake it, it will give you a number of different displays, including the standard ones that you would expect, which is selecting the temperature or the hertz to which you want the unit to operate on. I've used this from the bed head of our bed, and it syncs nicely and operates very easily. Hi YouTubers, well, it's the end of my video. Hope you found it interesting. Have safe travels. Bye.